Do it. Do it. This is a sensational spot where the lone Nugget is striking down enemy forces. Music plays asterisk, presenting to you now. But before we begin, I request all of you, if you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, please subscribe. Now, if you like the video, don't forget to like and share it, and leave a comment to let us know what you thought about our video and its juicy tips. Asterisk. Now let's get into the story. Asterisk. This morning I heard my master's voice calling, Nishanar. You sleepin'? Asterisk, I replied. I tried all night, but didn't get much success. Asterisk, he said. All right. Get out there now, you won't get another chance today. Asterisk, sir, but without your word, I can't go down. I responded. Asterisk, he said. I have what you need for this mission in the shop. You'll just have to agree. Happily, I agreed and climbed down. Before descending, I packed my belongings and left my rifle on the platform. I went a little distance, freshened up, and asked, what's the plan? Asterisk 20 minutes later, I wondered, why hasn't the enemy realized our presence? This whole setup seemed to serve both as a decoy and as a way to keep them alert. Asterisk returning to the tower, I hid Prince Shesad in the storage compartment and climbed up to hide myself on the platform again. Asterisk, give me a little water first, said my master. We might not get another chance to move, asterisk, sir, I said, pulling out a water bottle from my small pack. He poured water into his container and drank. Asterisk, once I had fully settled in, I turned off the clock or device. Troops had been ordered to move forward. Asterisk wrist carefully. The command said, but remember your comrades are all around. Try to catch the enemy alive. Asterisk, I overheard this, and stayed alert. My walkie-talkie made a sound again. Asterisk, turn it off immediately, he said. The sound travels far. Asterisk, sir, I said and shut it off. Asterisk, about 1.5 to 2 hours later, a few enemy soldiers passed close by. They were scanning the surroundings with cautious steps. Occasionally, they even looked up toward the trees. From their movement, I could sense suspicion. Asterisk, they stayed around until evening. We could hear gunfire from the Muktapath side. That night, the patrol teams set up camp in the jungle, but none of them approached our platform. Asterisk, as night deepened, I attached the night vision scope and scanned all directions to ensure no enemy was nearby. Once I was confident, I turned the radio on with the volume low. Asterisk from the conversation, I learned that the team had been divided into two groups, one to enter the forest and search, and the other to surround the jungle. The encircling group had already taken position since yesterday, while the searching party had entered the forest from the eastern side. Even after dark, they remained inside. However, due to the darkness, all parties were ordered to camp in place. Asterisk, I had run out of water. I began the conversation with this disappointing news. My master smiled and said, I know it's the same here. It means our test has begun. Asterisk, he spoke calmly. A sniper's life is full of trials. How long a human can survive without water, it can't be said exactly. It depends on the person's physical condition, willpower, trust in God, and hope of returning. I've heard of people surviving a month without water. Asterisk, he paused for a moment, then smiled and added, but we're not in that kind of danger. Our comrades can fulfill both thirst and mission. Asterisk, I laughed quietly and asked, Sir, have you ever faced a situation like this on a tough mission before? Asterisk, he sank into deep thought and replied, yes. I nearly succeeded on my first mission, but my mentor betrayed me. Asterisk, I was shocked. He betrayed you. Asteriskes, he said. Ustad Hashem was senior to me. We were hiding in the same bush. When the enemy appeared, he ordered me to shoot. I hit the target squarely on the forehead, but there were many enemies, and unfortunately, they figured out our location. Asterisk, Hashem told me to escape. He took my rifle, saying his wasn't working anymore, and gave me his broken one. Asterisk, I said, sir, you should come too. Asterisk, but he said, if two people run together, it would invite death. I know another way out. I'll survive. Keep this with you, I'll come back for it. Cover me while I leave so I can breathe easy. Asterisk, he handed me his pistol, extra magazines, and even his water bottle. Asterisk, I tried to protest, but he took out a folded paper from his pocket and gave it to me. Asterisk, if I'm delayed, follow this path. It's perfectly safe. It's an easy and familiar path. Now run, or I won't be able to hold off the enemy for long. Asterisk, before he could finish speaking, a couple of short bursts of enemy fire rang out, and I quickly slipped backward. Just then, a faint thud hit my senses. I realized the enemy had lost one of their men. The area was densely covered with bushes, thicker than usual, but these bushes could be used as cover to escape. The slope at the edge of the brush made one invisible from sight, but all of this would only be possible if the enemy didn't already know our position. Asterisk, unfortunately, they had likely already found out. It was certain that if we stayed, we'd die on the spot. However, if one of us kept exchanging fire, the other could escape safely. That's exactly why Ustad Hashem had sent me away. Asterisk, as I ran, one thought kept echoing in my mind: how did Ustad Hashem escape from there? Because he never lied. He'd clearly said he knew another route and promised me he would survive. Asterisk, I crossed the brushy terrain while staying hidden, but as I reached the slope, I stood up and ran full speed. I was still shocked by the blind, relentless firing happening behind me. Asterisk, I kept running until I reached our night shelter 3 kilometers from the action zone. Even there, I could still hear continuous gunfire ringing in my ears. That meant Ustad Hashem was still engaged in battle. Asterisk, but when I was barely a furlong away from the hideout, the gunfire suddenly stopped. I hid in the bushes and crawled into a small crevice, waiting for Ustad Hashem. My heart sank. Restless thoughts swirled in my mind. Asterisk, would Ustad make it out? Would the enemy outsmart him? Had the enemy already reached the place where I was waiting for him? Should I sit here and wait, or change my hiding spot? Asterisk, suddenly, a troubling thought crossed my mind. What if the escape path Ustad Hashem knew actually led to a dead end? Maybe that's why he gave me the direction so I wouldn't follow him. Asterisk, I pulled the folded paper from my pocket and opened it. My eyes widened in disbelief. The paper was wrapped around a sniper rifle firing pin. Ustad Hashem had told the truth. His rifle was no longer capable of firing, but the real reason was that he had disabled it himself. Asterisk, by handing me the rifle, he made sure I would believe it was broken. That way, I wouldn't realize his intention to make me think he had died a martyr, sacrificing himself for the country. But in truth, he had saved my life. Asterisk, in that moment, everything he said to me became clear. He had handed me the rifle deliberately. It was broken, but he also gave me the solution to fix it. You see, when a sniper retires, he hands over his rifle to his apprentice. That's what he did with me. Asterisk. He had given me his weapon, his trust, and his legacy, but didn't let me suspect anything. Then he said, I know another way, and by that he meant a path that only leads in, not out. He had promised he wouldn't die, and martyrs never truly die. Asterisk, yes, Zishan. He's still alive. I feel him around me. After his supposed martyrdom, even the enemy believed they had avenged themselves. But wherever Ustad went, he ensured the enemy's defeat through my hands. And I could feel that here too the enemy had lost. Asterisk, tears welled up in my eyes. I cried, remembering him. He was a better marksman than I ever was. He had unmatched skill. I don't know why he sacrificed such a great sniper for a new and uncertain apprentice like me. Asterisk, certainly. I would never have left him behind if he had lied to me, but he never did. He didn't deceive me, he guided me. And yet, I can never forget the deception I forced upon myself. Asterisk, his voice still echoed in my ears, and so did the sorrow in my eyes. I sat there silently, thinking about my noble teacher. Asterisk, there were some things Ustad Sadiq had not told me, but I understood them on my own. Ustad Hashem had handed over his water bottle and pistol to Sadiq, saying he didn't need them anymore. But the truth was, he wanted to give his share of resources to his students. His pistol and the extra magazines installed along the escape route were meant to help us survive. Asterisk, even while sleeping, I kept seeing Ustad Hashem in my thoughts, playing out his final unseen move. Asterisk, in the morning, Sadiq and I completed our mission, and remembered him with deep respect. That day, we didn't go too far. Before daylight, we had already taken up camouflaged positions. Asterisk, we had spent the entire night without water. At dawn, we felt exhausted. With the first light, enemy movement also resumed. At asterisk, around noon, I carefully turned on the walkie-talkie to check for signals, but the battery was dead. I replaced it with a spare and resumed listening. Asterisk, soon, muffled enemy voices came through. Most of their patrols were searching the bushes at the base of the rocky hill. Asterisk, after listening for a while, I turned it off. Sadiq asked, what are you doing? Asterisk, I said, they're still searching for me. Asterisk, Ustad Sadiq nodded. This will go on for at least a week. Asterisk, I laughed. So we'll have to hide on every leaf for a week. Asterisk, he said, try to bring water if you can. Asterisk, I asked in surprise. How? Asterisk, he replied, you know the water spot, and a person like you can surely move secretly. You don't need to be told that. Asterisk, I said, how can I leave you alone? Asterisk, he answered calmly, if you were injured, I would have gone myself, but now the risk is yours to take. Asterisk, I replied with emotion, sir, you're misunderstanding me. That's not what I meant. Asterisk, he said, no niche, getting water is very risky, but we don't have a choice. Asterisk, Ustad Sadiq's heart couldn't be doubted. He continued, the enemy is more alert at night. Their patrols must have thermal night vision, and you know, anything that emits heat shows up very clearly. Asterisk, let me tell you, there are 3 types of night vision systems. The first works on infrared and is now outdated. The second, slightly better, amplifies moon and star light. The third, the most effective, works on thermal imaging detecting body heat. Asterisk, I said, then I should leave right now. Asterisk, I looked at my watch. It was 1:30 p.m. Asterisk, he said, yes, during the day, the encircling party won't be as alert. I hope you can get through unnoticed. Their focus will be elsewhere. Asterisk, I said, but what about the search parties? I'll have to pay the price, won't I? I asked an important question to draw his attention to a specific point. He became thoughtful and said, "It's best to move out during early morning or evening hours during those times. The guards are either too alert or too sluggish." He appreciated my thinking and added warmly, "That's good." I asked, "So when should I leave?" He replied casually, "Fennel seeds time." I was surprised and asked, "Then why were you trying to send me earlier?" He smiled and said, "I was just testing you." I said, "Thank you for trusting me now." He responded, "It's a master's job to constantly test his student. I did the same during your training." Yes, sir, I agreed. That strict training is exactly what's giving me the courage to face today's challenges. He nodded. "Absolutely right. Now that your resolve is strong, there's no need to say more, just act." Due to thirst, I didn't feel like eating anything. In the evening, I once again overheard enemy chatter. They were being ordered to regroup. Despite trying, I could only catch a few hours of sleep at night. The severity of thirst and the anxiety of what was to come kept me restless. Around 3 a.m., Ustad Sadiq stirred me awake. "Nishan," he whispered. "I'm ready, sir," I responded, and began climbing down. Before leaving, I surveyed the area one last time. We hadn't eaten anything since yesterday, because without water, food would only worsen the thirst. Our comrades avoided eating for the same reason. We could still bear the thirst for now, though it was getting tougher. After freshening up, I prepared for the journey. Ustad Sadiq handed me my small pack and said, "I've also put my water bottle in it. Carry extra water for the return." I nodded silently. He added, "You must get past the perimeter first, otherwise the chances of getting trapped will increase." That was his last advice to me. I slung my rifle over my shoulder and took my backup pistol in hand. Using a sniper rifle for close-range support is foolish. In such movement, a pistol is far more effective. I looked up at the sky and searched for the North Star, then I extended my arm to measure its angle. Since I had to travel at night, I used the North Star for navigation. Anyone familiar with compass travel knows this. A circle is divided into 360 degrees. If someone stands facing the North Star, they're looking toward 360, east is 90, south is 180, and west is 270. Each direction is separated by 90. These degrees are marked on all compasses. To travel toward any specific degree, align the compass needle to that direction and begin moving. Using stars for travel requires knowing both their names and positions in the sky. Among all the stars, only the North Star stays in one place. It shines like a loyal sentinel. Other stars drift slowly and have different paths. Some follow constellations like Guru Vashishta, some follow Sirius, and others belong to famous zodiac signs. But I didn't need to get into that much detail. I just located the North Star, and, using my hand, measured an angle of 12 degrees from it. Then I began walking. No other star can be relied on for long, because stars keep moving. That's why, every 30 minutes or so, you have to select a new guiding star. I would occasionally peek through my night vision to check the surroundings on both sides. I moved slowly, making sure my footsteps made no sound. This slowed my pace, but it was better to arrive late than never. Along the way, I didn't spot any enemy patrol. Surely, most of their teams were stationed in the dense forest near the rocky ridges. When the rocky terrain ended, I found the captured mosque still standing, and I cautiously continued forward in a zigzag motion. Slowly, the darkness began to lift. The light peeled back the sky's veil, hinting at the break of dawn. I focused all my attention and got back into the mission. In front of me was the main canal, the one the enemy referred to as the White Canal. On the other side of that canal, I had previously ambushed their key officer. In the darkness, I spotted two of their men approaching from a distance. They looked like from their body language, it was obvious they were on routine patrol. I stayed hidden as they moved past me, descending from higher ground. They were talking in hushed tones, discussing things like domestic missile systems and the shortage of salaries. Once they moved a few steps ahead, I quietly began crossing the canal using the edge. I shouldn't have done this without fully studying their routine, but time constraints had left me with no other choice. Their careless demeanor made it clear that they hadn't anticipated anyone sneaking in tonight. Before following them, I had already scouted the area. I crept through a bush, crossed the canal, and ran toward the opposite side. The earlier sentries were no longer visible, but farther away. Other guards were patrolling ahead. I slowly crawled backward behind the bushes. Suddenly, I heard footsteps. Nearby, I froze. Someone had sat down in the bushes at a distance from my hiding spot. Clearly, there were no toilet facilities, and someone had come here for that. I remained hidden until he left, and as soon as he turned back, I quickly advanced again. The light was gradually increasing. I took cover in the bushes and continued moving farther. By now, I had moved 400 to 500 meters away from the canal. This area was slightly safer, but I still didn't let go of caution. I had successfully fetched the water now, I just had to make it back. To return. I'd have to wait for nightfall again. I thought of Ustad Sadiq, realizing that he would have to spend the entire day without water. I kept moving silently. The distance from the canal to the hideout was about 3 kilometers. I had already covered 2 kilometers. Only one remained. But the path ahead was entirely uphill. I had barely walked another 100 meters when I suddenly heard intense gunfire from behind. I stopped in shock, ducked behind a large rock, and looked back. Was I spotted? The thought chilled me, but I shook it off. If I had been seen, the firing would have been directed at me. I raised my binoculars and zoomed in toward canal. To my relief, I saw that all the soldiers stationed there had thrown down their weapons and were fleeing into the jungle. Suddenly, my walkie-talkie crackled to life. I quickly turned it on. A man was frantically reporting that 2 of their comrades had just been taken out clearly by a sniper. He was citing the urgency of the situation and ordering all parties to regroup immediately. Ustad Sadiq, I won't let you do this alone, I whispered, and quickly unslung my rifle. I removed the cover from the telescopic sight and aimed at a soldier near the canal. Without hesitation, I pulled the trigger. The gunfire startled the enemy. But when I tried to fire again, the magazine was empty. Worse, I realized this wasn't even my rifle. I hurriedly took off my small pack and reached in to retrieve extra rounds only to find my hand came up empty. Ustad had removed all the sniper rounds and replaced them with his pistol in my bag. He had deliberately sent me on the water mission. He knew no one risks such danger for water unless they're trying to protect someone. There was plenty of water and supplies at the base, but he knew we couldn't stay hidden for long and that he couldn't escape with his injuries. So, he sacrificed himself and gave me a final gift, his pistol and freedom. Just then, another round of gunfire rang out. The enemy had spotted someone and was now firing wildly. Someone shouted over the radio, reporting victory. My mind echoed with Ustad Sadiq's words. Greater than you know, every sniper hands over his rifle to his successor upon retirement. The moment I had descended that morning, he had replaced my rifle with his own one without ammo, and he had taken all the rounds from my pack as well. But he hadn't forgotten to leave me his pistol. This traitorous master tricked me, I muttered bitterly, still whispering to myself.